So here she is, the one and only paranormal Karen Rontowski.
Hi, Graham. So a million things have happened since you started the show, and I had to move. I had to move where I was all happy. I had to move to upstate New York to take care of my parents, and I live in a furnished apartment where the Wi-Fi is very sketchy. And I was all ready to go. You remember last time my eyelashes fell off in the middle. But it looks okay now. Let's hope that I don't fade off into the darkness. Even better. Okay, I think I'm put together.
But Karen, if you did fade off into the darkness, considering you're paranormal Karen, I think that would be very fitting. Like it feels like, and when your eyelashes came off, I just assumed it was some ghost, like just pulling them off. So it all fits. It's all on brand is my point, Karen. So
exactly. And of course the place I move into is haunted, but
I mean, if you live somewhere that wasn't haunted, I'd be a little disappointed, Karen. I'll be quite honest with you.
Exactly. If pictures weren't flying off the wall, it wouldn't be me.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll ask you that question in a second, but go ahead.
I was going to say, I was on your show last time and I got a prediction wrong. And I always like to point out when I'm wrong. And I have to say, it's weird though, is that I did not believe that Biden was going to make it the first year. I thought he was definitely going to die. And this is what's so weird about it. First of all, I think that Kamala, I don't know.
Sure.
She was, the lady that's vice president, her.
Yes, I do know the lady that's vice president. Yeah. Okay.
So I think she was such a disappointment even to the inside. But this is what's weird. Do you remember when he first started, he was really bad. He was way worse at remembering or anything. And then all of a sudden it switched. And he's halfway there now. Like, I don't know what happened, but I think maybe they gave him oxygen or something. But I think that, I don't know why, but I wanted to say that was one I got wrong. And I'm still suspicious. I think they did that because of me.
Well, I'm sure the Pentagon watches this show and they saw that episode and said, well, we got to give him some experimental drug to help with his dementia. But here's the thing though, Karen, and you freely admit this. You're good with predictions. Your timeline, sometimes your time is not like your strength. So I still think I firmly, even before we had you on the show the last time to predict that, I always have said, I doubt Joe Biden is going to finish his first term because I think mine is not based on tarot cards. Mine is based on the fact that I think he's an old man. And I think he was put there in place knowing his health isn't good. And they really want Kamala Harris to be in there and they're going to match her then with Pete Buttigieg because they're both, Pete Buttigieg was naval intelligence officer. So they literally want an actual CIA person in the White House as their ultimate goal, in my opinion. So,
but I don't think they can use her. I think they were amazed at how they, it's like a comic that's too new. And then you put them on, you bring them on the road with you. And then the first show, you're like, so what are we going to work on tomorrow?
Do I know any other comics in the next city that might be able to kind of come in and take over?
Exactly.
Well, the other thing, the thing I point out frequently on this show, but before I get into this, I just want to say who is haunting your place?
Well, it's funny. Anyone that wants to listen to my podcast, or on my Patreon, I started a new thing called What's Going On in Utica, because first of all, this is not where I want to be ever, but I had to move up here. I drove cross country. My dog dies right away when I get here. Oh. Although he was 18. I know he was in the Biden years of his life. He was 18. Right. But you know how attached I was to my dog. So I think, first of all, my whole theory was like, I felt like I was like, this land is awful. What's going on here? So I have a whole podcast, just what's going on in Utica. The true crime makes LA look like a playground. There's like 17 satanic churches in America. One of them is up in Albany, upstate New York. The Indians in Civil War, They fought with the French, and then they fought with the British trying to get rid of us. So this is like totally cursed land. So, and then Utica was where they sent the mob bosses to retire. So there's been mob murders everywhere. I'm in a house that's, the woman's like 70. And I think so I don't know who's haunting my house exactly, but I believe it's mobsters. I'm telling you, people started telling me their ghost stories, and I hear ghost stories all over. And I was listening to them and I was like, I don't want to say anything, but you don't have human ghosts. You have a problem. You have bad stuff in your house, but it's okay if you've been living there a while. So one night I'm home and all the pictures fly off the wall. They're this way down. The second one comes up and knocks them all down. So somebody was trying to get my attention.
Wow.
I think it's a sexy man that wanted to date me.
I think it's probably what it was. It's probably some real slick looking, mob boss that was like, hey,
hey, bada bing.
Hey, maybe I fix your frames, if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. That's it.
Well, so I want to point out to the audience, like we have done these readings before, and some people are like, "Oh, I don't know if it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not." No. To the audience, so I had a very esoteric father, as I've explained before, but maybe some people watching for the first time, they didn't see the previous times you were on the show. So my dad used to do tarot card readings, and my parents very much believed in this. And I don't know. I believe there's an energy out there. I'm not a huge organized religious fan, but I'm not an atheist either. I'm more of a,
what works for you?
The energy. There's a force out there, whatever you want to call it. And so you have predicted several things in my life personally. I remember when I was going through stuff with an ex and she was violent. I had to get a restraining order. You said this lawyer is going to come out of nowhere. I was like, what lawyer? I guess I was like, I got some. And then literally my new entertainment attorney he goes, I don't know if you know, we started working together just for show business stuff. And then all this stuff happened with my ex and the Hollywood Improv. And I was like, oh, and I was like, I had to go to court. And he goes, you might not know this, Graham, but I used to specialize in restraining orders. And I was like, huh? And he came in and was like amazing and really. And so you predicted that. You predicted some other things with you predicted government secrets. You were like, you're going to start doing this podcast with a guy and it's going to really start to take off. And I was like, huh. And then Lee Camp called me a couple months later and was like, hey, let's start doing this. And we've been doing it for a year now. And we're doing shows in London and Europe and stuff. And the audience is really taking off for that. And I love doing it. Government Secrets is awesome. And then we had you on the show like a year and a half ago, and you predicted January 6th. I mean, you said crazy stuff stuff we've never seen before is going to happen. And that's exactly what January 6th was. So the only thing is we did a reading several years ago and you said you're going to meet this amazing woman, and that hasn't happened yet, Karen. That's the only thing. I'm like, what? Stop predicting the collapse of America and maybe hook a brother up. You know what I'm saying? Just find.
Well, you know what, too? There's two things, which is time is a tricky one because there isn't time where we're getting the information. Does that make sense?
Right.
But, yes. And then I always wonder, that was very close to someone who was in your life we'll find out. But also, so let me give you a little worldy thing that, the worst of the economic and the change in this country is September, October, November. And again, we're going into this like we've never seen before. So get your popcorn and get ready to watch the movies. This is like this is really as big as like when COVID hit and then everybody was like, what's going on? We're kind of in that arena again. And I hate to even say this, but it's like, it could be like assassination attempts or getting, having them go through. But the biggest, it's almost like the revolution is about to hit and November will be the end. And I have a little bit this is what I also think. If they put Trump in jail, I think that is going to implode this country like craziness.
Yes,
So
I firmly believe that too. Like, they probably have enough evidence to arrest him and put him in jail, but I'm like, okay, but when that happens, the FBI is already getting death threats, and I don't know. I mean, these Trump supporters that are doing this have always been like, they support the police and they back the badge, and they've never been targeted by the police before, which is why they've always been like, why is Black Lives Matter all mad? And now you're going to you're threatening the FBI. I would warn against that. And I think they're going to act nuts, and then they're going to see this country's police clamp down on them in a way that they didn't think was going to happen, because they got away with it on January 6th. I mean, if we've talked about that, everyone said, like, if that was a Black Lives Matter took over the Capitol, they would have spent 10,000 soldiers would have come down there and cleaned them out. And they let it was all white people just about on January 6th. So they kind of gave them they let him in. They literally let him in and gave him a pass. They're starting to arrest people. Several hundred people have been arrested since. Okay. But they didn't just like wholesale gun them down. That's going to start happening, because if any of these people actually follow through on, when you kill a cop, the police, right or wrong, whatever the reality is, they just say there's no more rules. Now we're going to get you because you took one of ours. That's how American police operate. And you can say that's good or bad or right or wrong, whatever, but that is how they're going to operate. And so that's going to be gnarly. But so let's get into the full reading. So now you're saying
this is how I warm up.
You go.
Like a wrestler. Okay. I don't even know what I'm doing. I did 5 readings in a row today, 5-hour readings. I'm a little loopy.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah. So, so before we get into the actual reading, but your prediction is that the economic stuff is really going to get bad September, October, November. And that's when it's like all bets are off. Things are going to get really crazy, right?
Yep. This is when they talk about food shortages and stuff. I sort of feel like once we get over November, it's not that everything's going to get better. We got a couple more years of like real turnover and crap. But I have a friend that's an astrologer. If you're on TikTok, her name is Astro Lori, and she was also used to be a political what do they call that? Where analyst. She was a political analyst, and then she became an astrologer. So she names names, and she want the while back. She was like, Merrick Garland is coming up with a big announcement. She's very good. And she said this on my podcast wonderfully. She said, if you're a person who grew up without a lot of money or knows how to make it through hard times, you're going to be fine. If you're a little bit bougie, or you're going to have trouble. So in other words, this is just like those of us that have gone through hard times will make it. We'll be fine. But I think I think if there was ever a time where a third party is going to come in, this is going to be it. Or a big, like, Buttigieg. I did a whole, I can't see him stepping up, period. Right. And I can't see any of them right now. I don't know who the Democrats think is going to walk out of the darkness. There's nobody right now.
Whoever walks out, like you say, it'll probably be third party. It can't be within the Democratic Party is too corrupt, just like the Republicans, for anybody to come out from that, unless somebody like flat out defects and says, I'm leaving this party to start my own party, or run, maybe that could happen, but.
Yeah, no. So, okay. So that's my thing for people. If you're going to hoard food or anything now, do it now.
Okay.
Food or medicine or toothpaste or deodorant or anything that you don't have an expiration date.
Good to know, man. I got a whole thing. I got like a 5-pound bag of rice. I got a lot of stuff. I'm ready to go. To go.
All right. Okay. So we're reading for you or the top of the world or whatever.
Let's do a reading. First of all, let's do a reading for, let's do a reading for me. Let's do a career professional, like what is going to happen career wise with me, and this show and stand up and all of that.
Okay. When's your birthday?
August 5th.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you so
8-5,
much.
which is 4. Oh, Graham, I'm super excited for your birthday, even though it's gone by. Okay. So here is the deal. You are now in a personal numerological year 1, which means years go in cycles of 9. So last year, your 9, everything that did not serve you left you. Probably things, stuff, people, attitudes. It was the big wrap up. This is my favorite sequence, 9-1. So now you're in a 1. The slate is clean. You've gotten rid of everything. It's a very independent, I'll do it myself year. Okay. You want to think about and send out to the universe what you want to bring in for the next 9 years. So literally, like, say it out loud when you're at home. I want my show to do this. I want this. So now that a lot has been cleared out, this is really excellent energy. Okay. And we just passed through that thing called Lionsgate or something. That's an astrology. I shouldn't talk about things I don't know. We'll stay with the number 1. Okay. All right. So let me see. 8s are the best career years, but being the power of that 1, you might have some really, okay. I like it. So you're still in that 9 mode. You're still, and this is how I want to say it. You are wow, you have a big change right in front of you. Okay. This is pretty big. All right. You have some pretty intense cards right now. I would expect this to be something to happen, and this is very soon. So if this isn't in the next week or 2, you can be like, oh, Karen screwed up again. This is somewhere with my imaginary girlfriend and this next thing. We're doing a different.
Yes, what's this? Okay, this is the same time the supermodel that does mixed martial arts and says socialist shows up. Okay, great, Karen.
Yes, perfect. Okay, something is about to change drastically for you. Okay. And this could be, it's going to look like it's a bad thing, but when it's done, it's going to be a good thing. It could be like this. Take this as a metaphor because I don't know this whole thing, but something is ramping up to change. It would be like if you lost your monetization on YouTube, right?
Yes.
It would be like if that had happened. Well, it was a good thing because you went elsewhere, but then you're like, damn, I lost my monetization. And then you move to some other network where you're making double. So it's like that. It's going to look like, oh shit, what just happened? Can I swear? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you can swear. It's still
It's too late. Too late. So like everything right now is very volatile, very fast change. And then things are actually going to start to move into a bigger direction or a bigger place. I want to say you may have an option of moving on to like, I don't know what it is in podcasting or Rockfin or whatever, but you may be moving into a space with more writing and a more, how do I say this? You may have interest like from another network. I can't think what is RT or something like that. You might have interest from another place and start setting that up. But you are getting ready, just like you changed off of YouTube, you're getting ready to make another change. Okay. I know that doesn't make sense, but you're getting ready to move into another space for your podcast for this.
Yeah. Like when you say like more writers, like a bigger production, more of a scripted thing than just like talking, politics or whatever.
It could be it's moving. So this card comes up for you. This is the Hierophant. And this is this is really interesting because this is a government card and it's an organizational card. Okay. Have you actually had any trouble from government agencies?
Not real overt, just the sort of demonetization, shadow ban, throttling my numbers kind of stuff, which is, stuff like that. Nothing big. Not like they said, oh, you can't, we're denying your passport or nothing like that.
Okay. Get ready for this because I'll just say it and then I won't say it again and you can keep asking. It's something that looks bad. Like, oh no, how did that happen? Why did that happen like this? And it's going to work in your favor. In fact, you can call me personally off the air if this happens.
Okay.
Like a person.
Got it. Okay.
But it's sort of this drastic change, and it's leading you to the next step. This is your year one. So probably by the end of 2022, you may have a whole new plan or a whole new format or a whole new something. And because whatever is going on here is it's not a bad thing, but it's time to expand, and it can't happen from where you are. So you're probably going to get knocked off a platter or a pedestal or a plate, something with a P.
A potato, something like that.
Potato. This is the end of year 9, flushing out what needs to go. Okay. Hold on a sec. That doesn't mean everything. Of course, you'll keep the good things like the shows and the stuff like that. But something is shifting very, very big. All right. There it is. Okay. Wow, twice. Okay, so there's one thing about your career this year. Wow, there's a lot of traveling this year. Okay, this year and next year. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you were doing live streams on the road everywhere. Okay, all over, a lot of overseas. Are you moving overseas?
I'm just going to do shows for a couple of weeks, but I'm not moving, but I'm open to wherever. I literally just been asking the universe. Lately, I've just been like, hey man, show me where you want me to go. Like, tell me, like, I just feel like I work for the, for my higher power, my universe, whatever. And I'm just like, show me where you want me to go, man. Like, where am I needed? I'll do it. Like,
again, so, I have you moving over water or overseas. I'm going to leave that there because that's all over this.
Okay.
Okay. But it's part of this move or whatever it is, whatever this switch is to your new sort of angle. Okay, hold on. Ooh, it's going to be exciting. Okay. I had to move to Utica, New York, the worst place in the world.
Karen, I'm so sorry. I've seen you on social media and we've texted a little bit. And I'm like, oh man, I'm just like, oh.
It's finally turned a corner where it's kind of like, okay, but I'm literally 2 funerals away from moving.
Oh.
My parents know. Man. I'm like, and they're like, listen, if we're in the nursing home and we don't know who you are, you can go. And I was like, I'll be gone already.
That's fair.
Okay.
Well, I'll say this. So October 18th, I'm going to be in New York City. If you're going to be in New York City, October 18th, want to do a set, my audience would love to see you there. So I'm just planting that little seed before you.
Okay. I'll look. I'm 4 hours out of New York City, but I go in any time that I can. I will look. I think October is my big month. 18th. I think so. See, now you distracted me.
Sorry.
I think this year is also the year of people, management, agent, people. Okay, for what you're doing. That looks like it's a little later on, but really, I cannot say this enough. This is the year that is the foundation for where you're going or what you're doing. So stuff is still being taken away. Okay, ask me anything specific now.
What is the direction of my stand-up comedy career specifically?
Okay. All right. Boy, there is a person. There's a person that is either an agent or a booker or something that is going to appear later, probably in like 2023, that to me looks like it's going to start cleaning things up. That I don't know how else to say that, but cleaning up the stuff that you don't like or the stuff that you don't like to do or something like that. And it's a female. Okay. it's a little bit of a clunky transition, but it's actually going to make you way happier. Listen, your path is about to really take a different turn, and I don't want to say don't worry about stand up, but this is like a really big turn is coming here. And I know like even this could be a bypass from stand up or a it wouldn't surprise me if it was like a news channel or something, or you got in trouble for something and then became a topic and then you were launched someplace. Do you know what I mean? Like, here, let me explain this card to you. This is the card that keeps coming up for you. Okay. This card here, I'm going to give everyone a tarot class. So, this card right here is when we're doing something, we're like, it's like this, like I kept going, I'm in Utica, I'm not a stand-up anymore, there's no comedy, da da da. And then I sort of just settled into, you know what, Karen, you're an artist just creating life. And then all these clubs called because it was like I was so attached to that story. So I described this card this way. This is when you're on the wrong path. I was living in a very inexpensive apartment in Van Nuys, and it was terrible. But why would I move? Because it was cheap. So one day I come home off the road. The lady that runs the place has adopted all the stray cats in the neighborhood. My apartment is so flooded with fleas, I have to move the next day. That's this card. That's that lightning strike. That's God going, Karen, you didn't move. You didn't do what was good for you. So we made you move. Okay. And then everything was great. I found a great apartment. I found it with no fleas, all that stuff. So you have a tower moment coming up where it's going to be like that, like something that you're either stuck on, or I always say our stories, like how we think it should be, those are going to go and you're going to be led to where you're supposed to be and with who. I want to ask a different question, if you don't mind. I'm going to ask, like, it wouldn't surprise me if you guys doing all this independent news were somewhat under attack suddenly.
Well, we already have been, so it's like, I mean, yeah. Just you know, like you might like RT got shut down a couple months ago, and Lee Camp, you know, all these people lost work, and yeah, I mean, Lee's got lucky because he's gotten some work through some other people, so he's doing good. But all those shows got wiped out. I've had numerous people on this show after it got wiped out.
Yeah, that's not what the tower card is, but it's definitely coming, that there's going to be a place where you guys are going to get, I don't know what else they can do, but
right.
Yeah. I do think you will win though. Like when I was talking about Trump, and I think they're gonna, I think the FBI knows that. I think they want this sort of dissension amongst. I almost think they want to, you know, split people up. They want these people living here and these people. Like, I really feel like they want it worse. But whatever this is, get ready for this. And well, you can't get ready because it's going to be a surprise. But get your surprise hat.
My surprise hat.
What is that? A birthday hat? Where you surprise? It's the universe. But this year is a whole new path for you. I wouldn't be surprised, Graham, if you ended up on a TV show or something.
Right. It's like something could change to where it's like, I'm not doing this YouTube show or something. I'm doing regular TV again, or something to that effect, like directing more or something. And yeah.
Yeah. Still you doing your, you know, nobody's going to change what you're saying or anything like that. But it's almost like whatever you're letting go of here is getting ready to open a new door.
Okay. So just be ready when the big, like,
Please
come. this thing gets taken, you know, the rug gets pulled out from underneath me, to try to be open of like, actually, this is going to be a good thing. It kind of is. It's startling at first, and it's a little unnerving, but in the long run, it's going to pan out.
And it might not be this. It might be something else, that where the plug gets pulled or something gets changed, but be ready for this big change.
Okay.
Maybe it's something else and you're talking about it here, and then it's launched into something else.
No, there's a couple things that are sort of, that are sort of hanging in the balance, and I can't really talk about them publicly yet because they're not official, but like there's some things floating around. I might be doing this, I might be doing that, which could really be like, oh, I got to move. I got to, whatever. So that's definitely, so none of that you're saying is like, what? Like everything is, I'm sort of gearing up for that. Like, okay, this could just be a whole different thing.
This. Don't I look what I did to my hair? Don't I look like a little Dutch girl? I look like Yoda.
You look.
Don't I look like
yes.
Yoda?
It looks great. Yeah. I love blonde Karen. This is great.
I'm getting ready to go gray Karen, so I'm getting it all out, but I keep cutting it off because I'm like, get it out, get the color out. This is, just the other day, my friend was like, you have ADHD. And I was like, I don't think so. Maybe she was right. Okay.
All right. Can we ask another question? Okay. So we've talked about my personal stand-up career, and we've also talked about how everything I'm doing right now with the YouTube is
could change fast.
Could change. So stand-up is included in that. Like what could stand-up could be changed more, or
you clarify the next question. I'm going to look at stand-up real quick because I kind of can't get out of it. It keeps throwing that at me. Like stand-up's not going to be, not that it's ever going to go away. It's never going to go away, but it may not be the first thing on your plate. There might be something else on your plate.
Okay.
Yeah, stand-up is going to be fine. But again, I'm going to say that it doesn't feel like the very first thing on your plate. So, but if you're doing a TV show and you're doing funny stuff, you're there. It just will then. But I really do feel like the connection to out of the country is pretty big.
Okay. I guess my next question would be, can I ask specifically about, so I'm taping a stand-up special October 26th. Can we ask specifically how that special is going to do?
Yes. And I'll do it in a, how is it going to turn out? Like literally the stuff and, literally the technical stuff, if you have everything in line, and then we'll look at the next part. Oh, I like this. This looks really good. You're getting ready to let go of a bunch of material, aren't you?
Yeah.
I call this the material dump. It's on tape now. I got to do more. That's going to go great. Okay. Let's see what it does. And you got to get it out there fast, the way things are going on the news.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, yeah. I'm talking to editors. Like I need this thing cut and done like the week after I shoot it. Like I need it out there.
It looks great. Oh my God, it looks great. Yes. Okay. So all the money on this is in the front end. Like I feel like it's going to make or do. There's something about it. And then it's going to, wow, it feels like a launching pad. It's very interesting because it makes, and then it seems insignificant. I still think I don't know if it's TV or what's happening for you, but it be like, this is the launch that puts you here. And then when you're here, none of this matters. Not that your special wouldn't matter or anything, but like if you're somewhere else making more money doing something else, then it really doesn't matter. You remember it as the special that launched, but does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If it's taking you to the next step, that's what you want. Which it is, but it looks like it's going to come out great. Is there a female or working with you or offering you something? It keeps coming up as a female. In one of those things that's a dangling prepuces or on your, that you can't talk about. Is there a woman? Go with that one. It's the woman.
In terms of the stand-up special or just work in general?
Work in general.
Right now, no. I mean, the thing that's being, potentially, yeah. There's a big sort of project that's in the mix, and there might be this. It's a male friend of mine who's got this kind of thing, and he just mentioned this other. There's a woman who has a lot of Like,
well, you don't have to say anymore because
right.
you can't say any. So now it's like we're playing Mad Libs.
Is this woman, is she like, she's an agent or manager or in a position of power, or is she like a good assistant, or what is
No,
it
she
like?
feels like she's in a place of power.
Okay. Okay.
Or a decision maker or a launcher. She's not like she's your agent or manager. She's working for someone else and she's your door opening.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Okay. We're talking secret code. We can't tell you what we're saying, but it's very important that you hear us say a lot of pronouns and things. There's a vague, and there's going to be a car and maybe a duck. Oh, there'll be a duck.
Okay.
I guess, it's the way I have to do it to read, but like I go, is there a woman? And people like, well, 50% of the population is probably a woman. So there's a lot of chance it's a woman. Yes. Okay. All right. You know what? So were you thinking of moving? Everyone is moving right now.
Yeah, there is a potential that might, that's in the car. Well, definitely in the cards. I mean, before this, I've been talking about it, think like I might have to move, or there's this thing that's potentially could happen, would definitely require a move. So I'm going, and I'm going to be on the road all of October. So it's like, should I sublet my place? Should I just, because I'm too living in a furnished thing. Like I'm just like can move pretty nimbly. So yeah.
There is going to be a move. It's going to be on delay. So let's say this project is a yes. It won't be immediate, but there is a move coming. But it'll be like you're moving, and then there's a wait. So we'll need you in November. So you're waiting. Yeah, boy. It's so amazing. I just want to say, don't expect anything to go the way people are saying. Just be like, okay, whatever, I'll show up. They're going to say you need to be there in November. And then they might call you October and be like, no, we need you now. We changed that. Like everything is just kind of all over the place. Also, I would not be surprised if there was something that was a national delay. Okay. I don't think we're getting out of monkeypox without somebody's making us all stay home or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever that is.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or polio or something that we're,
Great. Of course. Yeah, that's going to be monkeypox, polio, mashup.
Mothman attacks could be next. And,
sure. At this point, it's like nothing would surprise. Like if an alien ship just started like shooting people in Times Square, I'd be like, okay, well, I guess that's kind of waiting for that. Is there like an alien helmet that I could? Do they sell those at Costco, or what do I do?
What's really weird is actually tinfoil does work.
So then there's a tinfoil shortage, and then we're going to go through all that again.
Well, tinfoil blocks 5G. A lot of people don't know that. And I thought, the foil hat people had it right.
Well, they were. Tinfoil hat people were really on the cutting edge. Good. Hats off to them. Or hats off.
I know. Foil hats off to them. When I left LA, though, the 5G and the radiation is so bad, my hair started growing back. Like I had thinning hair, and now I have like double the amount of hair. That's how much radiation is in LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and now
amazing.
I can do Yoda. By the way, my new show, Psychic Stand-Up, is doing very well. That's where I'm doing it everywhere now. And Chicago, if you're in Chicago area, Halloween weekend, they have me every year. I do stand-up. I do 30 minutes. This is an ad. Of course, I do like 30 minutes of stand-up. And then I read for the crowd.
Dude, I do because I'm taping my special October 26th at the downtown Zanies. And I saw in the you're there the next night.
Yes. Oh, I want to see if I can come in early and watch.
Yeah.
All right,
I
I'm going to
mean,
try.
I'll be in the condo, but
I'll be outside the condo. I'll sleep in the hall. No, I'm just kidding. Keep it clean. Keep the condo clean.
I, I won't do any weird shit in the condo for you, Karen. I won't at all.
Okay, thank you. It's a nice condo. And then I'm at
It is.
Rosemont the next 2 days. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rosemont's great. Oh, I love Rosemont because they put you up in that nice hotel. I love Rosemont. I was just there in April. Sorry, folks, we're just having road comic talk.
I know. Well, if you're there all Halloween weekend, you want to go see Graham, and then you want to go see me because I'll be doing I do the stand-up where I do stand-up, and then I do readings from the stage. And it's kind of exploding. Like I can't seem to get it right over that hump, but wherever I go, I just was at a paranormal conference and they were like, oh my God, you got to do it again. And then I do it in around here. I got to find a TikTok. It explodes when I do it. So it's kind of a unique thing, but I give you a reading and I make fun of you.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You bring people on stage and give them a reading and make fun of them. Like that's.
No, they stay down in the darkness. I don't want to look at them.
Keep these cloven hooved animals down in below the stage where they belong. I like that approach, Karen.
Right. No, they raise their hand to ask a question, and there's you can Google psychic, or on YouTube I have a psychic stand-up Valentine's edition. I have two CDs out on that, and yeah. So, anyways, but back to you.
Love this. I love that you're doing this. I just want to say, Rogue, I love that you're doing this. And anyone who's going to be in Chicago to see my special on the 26th, stay or go to her show on the 27th. Anyway, okay, because it's so cool. All right. So, and Karen Rontowski, let me tell you something. She's what we call a one-liner comic, which I have mad respect for the one-liner comics because you guys got to go. Your one-liner jokes are like maybe 10 seconds long. So I've got bits in my act that are like 5 minutes long. And I can add tags. And one-liner comics, you guys got to turn over so much material. And Karen is legit funny, guys. Legit funny. And you'll get a tarot reading and she'll make fun of you, hopefully. So like you'll get all of this stuff together. So okay. Next question. The one I always ask, like what it feels like my romance life has died and there's nothing happening to it. So what do we
No, you're in it. Everything is new. So here's the thing about a year one. Year one is really an independent year. So you may meet some people. I'm going to see if it's going to go stronger. But in your year two, that is a great relationship year. But let me see what's happening in your one. Okay. Okay. Well, there looks like there's going to be, okay, two things. Okay. So there's going to be opportunity, but there's still a lot of pain and heartache that needs to go. Okay. I know it sounds easy, right? But remember, this is going to sound so smart. You're going to think you're talking to somebody other than me. There's being vulnerable, right? Being vulnerable is not being weak. It's meeting someone without your protection on. Okay. That's where you got to get. There's definitely going to be opportunities around you. I do think it's later in the year and closer to your year two where things are really going to start to move because all this, you really let go of a lot of shit last year. And that's been your process. Probably the last 9 years is everything that's going out. And this 9 years is now about what you're bringing in. So you're in this year one, you're going to get stronger. You're going to get more, like, I kind of want to just say stable and everything, more relaxed, more confident. And it's really going to be in that two when you feel everything moving in the right direction. There are going to be ladies around you. They may cause a little anxiety because everything feels a little off. Just hold on. I really feel like it's your year two where everything is coming into play. Now, last thing I want to say, we do always get back what we send out, but it's that our subconscious is in charge. So like I can tell you that I want to get married, but really in my subconscious, I'm like, I don't think I want to get married. So now there's a conflict between what I'm saying in me energetically, and I meet no one. So getting really totally honest with whatever you want and whatever you say. It's like in Hollywood, it's very popular to say, I don't want to be famous. I just want a little cult following. When inside we're screaming, I really want to be famous. I want to have money. I want to do it. So you got to be so aligned. And right now your subconscious is still getting rid of kind of the shitty stuff. So get ready, just be really realigned with that. Be aligned with your words, with your stuff. You're really good at this, but I feel like this particular topic, especially love, was just hard. That last 9 years wasn't your years for it. Now this is. Now you're ready to receive.
Okay.
Receive is important. So every time I sit here and I think I hate Utica and nothing's happening and I'm mad, I start calling clubs and nobody answers and this and that. And then all of a sudden I go, hey, it's going to be okay. I'm in the energy of receiving. The phone starts ringing.
Right.
So in the energy of receiving.
How do you like verbalize that in terms of like getting, because I you know, like I write out my goals for 2022 and I got very concise on them, and they're like, shoot a special, get a huge following, you know, because I understand that's the key for comedy is like, and I'm seeing all these comics just from a business standpoint, you know, 60-second stand-up clips are king now. And I'm seeing comics, I'm sure you have too, just their Instagram following or TikTok is blowing up just because they're just dropping clip. And then when you get the big, you start getting in the 6-figure following, then clubs start, you know, like you can actually you can really sell tickets. And that's all that matters in our business. Can you sell tickets or not? That's going to be the determining factor. So I really just got focused on that. That's why I've just been like, just tunnel vision on this special and writing a new hour and getting it done, like getting this done. Cause I see how critical that is. And it's really lining up, and it's like all this stuff and the phone, you know, club dates are lining up for it. But relationship is just, it's hard because it's hard. And it's like, yeah, and that last relationship that was 5 years ago now, where I had to get a restraining order, is like really super gun shy. I got to be honest, like super gun shy. And I've had women like want to date me, and I've been sort of like, no, or whatever, or I kind of like this person, but anything that even looks remotely like a red flag, like I'm just like, you know, whatever. No, they were just putting ketchup on. Not it's red. I'm out. You know, like it's just I'm, you know, like so.
Anxiety. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing, and I don't know if this helps, but your last relationship was what we call a twin flame. And a twin flame is they implode. Okay. They're kind of are like, everybody wants to meet a soulmate. Well, everybody's a soulmate. Okay. Everybody's your enemy is your soulmate because they're forcing you to learn something. Okay. Twin flames is when like it's almost so hot that it can't work. And it's two people. I'm trying to find a nice way to explain this. Okay. So this is all of us in consciousness. This is all of us on my forehead in consciousness. We're all one. And then what happens is it splits into two. And that's how souls are kind of, then it splits into 4. And then that's how we get who we are. We're all a piece of this. But when you meet a twin soul, it's closest. It's the first split. It's somebody that I know this person, or I feel this connection, or I don't even understand. And it's so overwhelming because it's almost like sometimes it's a mirror and sometimes it's the opposite. And it just is like destructive. Like you don't want to marry your twin flame. Rarely ever works out. But a better thing is like someone that you haven't had a million past lives with, that you kind of know, that you go really, really slow. And especially in this day and age, it's a long sort of date this week, maybe a date next week. We are so programmed for this was the person and I met them. And we're also programmed for doing no work at all. This person is going to walk between me and my TV and I'm going to meet them. No, dating is work. So when you get your head like in that place, like I tell people, I love the dating apps. I kill on the dating apps. I have the best time. You know what I mean? Like I get ghosted or whatever, but I have fun. And if you hate the dating apps, here's what I say. 5 minutes a day, no more, no less. That's what you do. 5 minutes a day, no more, no less, every day. And also, here's what I didn't know. When I got to Utica, I was swiping for like 3 days and not straight, but just like the third day, it said, there are no more matches in your area. I finished Utica. There was no one left. There's no one single here. So now I'm out about 200 miles, but I'm still trying. There are no more matches. They ran out of people for me. You still got to try.
Oh yeah, I can't. I can't do the dating apps. I just like part of me is like I'm just focusing on career because I don't have the time for this stuff. I really
Okay, but this is what I want to say, and I want you to think about this about the new 9 years. Okay.
All right.
Okay. We're done. This isn't, what do they say? This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is life. And you get to be happy and you get to say, I'm done with that. And you know what else you get to say? I'm done with that story. Like as soon as I got rid of the story that I was a comic and I had to be doing this, everything came to me. So you will lose the story of what happened to you and be like, it's all new now.
Okay.
And then you're in charge. You get to go slow. Because you know what? No one is ever going to say when they're 100 is, oh, I wish I hadn't gone on that date with that person.
That's true.
Unless it ended in violence.
Unless they got abducted and you know, had to work on a pirate ship.
Right. And for the ladies that are listening, and everyone needs to get over this hating of the apps because that's just how it's done. That's just how it's done. And believe me, when you like, I was like, I like Middle Eastern men. So I wrote, I like Middle Eastern men and I like beards. So when I was in LA, match. You know what I mean? I'm looking for a relationship. You don't have to be that, you know, men are easier to hook in. But ladies, this is your new rule because there's a whole bunch of new dating stuff. You always have 2 or 3 men in the hopper until one says there's a commitment. That's the rule. You can ask, you can say, are we exclusive? But women tend to think that they had been exclusive when they weren't. So that's your new rule. You do not stop dating until something is exclusive. Everyone. That's you too, Graham.
It's so much. I mean, honestly, Karen, and
it is work.
It is work. And I'm used to not having to work that much. I'll be honest with you. I'm used to like I'm used to like nice, attractive women coming up to me, and it's like, oh, cool. Because this is the other thing too. And with regard to that, it's not just like me. It's not like an ego thing. This is for men post Me Too movement, because you just meet someone out in real life. I'm like, I'm not going to ask her out, even though I'm just not, because the Me Too movement's like all men are awful and we're all looked at like we're fucking predators, which is really like, Jesus Christ. It's hard to, you're always suspect. So it's part of me is like, you know, unless I get a clear signal, like, hey, call me, or I like, you know, unless I hear that like distinct, I'm not even gonna deal with it.
Okay, well, a couple of things with that, because I don't disagree with you on that. And cancel culture and that stuff, yeah, it's not. And actually, TikTok is simply about men hating women and women hating men. Like, I don't even want to hear about dating on there anymore, because it's like somebody's always the villain. Or the new thing is women saying they don't need men anymore because they can have a baby on their own. Or I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't care. You take the babies, I'll take the men. But
I need men. I've never moved a couch on my own, so I don't know where people come up with that.
That was one of the things, though. They showed a woman pushing a couch up the stairs herself, but it's ridiculous. But here's the thing. you don't have to be a part of that. Make sure make sure that you have a way. If that's the signal you want from women, make sure you have a way that they know you don't have a girlfriend. Like, oh, I'd make a joke. You'll make a joke, because you may be missing out on nice women who would say that. But I feel like watch for the backlash, because there's going to be a bunch of women complaining that men aren't chivalrous and don't ask them out. That's what they're. The men, it's going to go that way.
I'm so done with. I'm like, you all created the situation. Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad.
Not all
I know, but there's the one thing on TikTok. There's actually several women that are like advocating for men and holding women accountable for this stuff that I've seen on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, thank you. But yeah,
I'm not
all right.
Thing anymore, because middle-aged white women are being screamed at, so I'm not allowed to talk either. We're taking the place of the white male. Everyone's mad at us now.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's kind of great.
Yes. Everyone's a victim. Graham, I turned on this thing, and this makes me so mad. This woman is saying, I was a victim of vegan propaganda. And I was like, ow, what are real victims really actually doing at this point, now that they've been taken over by vegan propaganda, right? I'm like, people don't have homes. You're the victim of vegan propaganda.
There's tent cities in every major American metropolis. I think they've had a little more victimizing. They've been victimized a little more than the people that Dia Cheese, their ad campaign. I think.
Yes, exactly. It's crazy. So all this stuff has got to go away. But the right woman is out there. I mean, I'm 57, 58 that soon, and I'm still what's going to happen. That's what we just got to do the work.
Right. I concur. All right. Well, I don't know I can think of anything else, unless there's some other subject I'm missing. Yeah, we've talked career, we've talked romance, we've talked the government in the United States. My final question for you. Will the United States, as it stands today, the 50 United States, will it still be intact in the next 5 years or less?
I like this question. Actually, I think it will, but I have to say, I think your 5 years or less, I think it's going to be bad, but I think your 5 years or less, I would actually say after that, it might start to split. It's like this. They're going to keep us in this split even worse. And there's something about people physically being split. I don't know what that's about. Like, you live here, we live here, or this side of town, that side of town. We have to watch out for that as humans. It's like, I have this crazy notion, Graham, that there might be some women who might disagree with me. They might be pro-life and I might be pro-choice, but they don't want to destroy my life. They just have a difference of opinion, right? Like, they're not trying to, they're just like, if we can take that in, like, it's not, no one wants a Handmaid's Tale. They just think something different. If we can take that in, that's what we need to do for the powers that be, to understand, to go back to that. But I do feel like, actually, I feel like a female president could be the key of a good change. I don't know why that came up in there when it wasn't the question, but I think we're going to hang on by a thread. So we're going to be the United States, and we're going to hang on by a thread.
But potentially at 5 years or more, maybe not.
May not. That's going to be, so when there's a prediction, when I do a prediction, it's the timeline you're on right now. So your trajectory, I just read your trajectory. Now, you could have that offer come up, change your mind, and go a different way. So now you're on a different trajectory. Right now, the trajectory of the United States is staying together for the next 5 years. And then it looks like it hits this bump. Where do we decide? But we could fix that. If we start to love our neighbor, if we start to think, if we start to, you know what I mean? We have the ability to change that. Something very strange happened on January 6th because, and by the way, I'm sorry if I'm booting guests out of the way. January 6th was something we all knew was coming, just like all the psychics and astrologers, if you want to go back, knew something was coming in March when the pandemic hit. And it was everyone. It's going to be bigger than 9/11. We just knew, nobody, few people got pandemic. Other people were like, I don't know, nuclear, whatever. But everybody knew that date. January 6th, I think, was supposed to have an even bigger impact. But if you watched it, it was almost like it was surreal. And then someone said, cut, send everybody home. Like it went to a point and then it seemed to just be done, right? Nobody was shot at. There wasn't the violence it could be. And I don't know how many of those people going into that building actually worked for the government and were trying to make it look bad. But there was almost something stopped there. And I felt like that was when the trajectory changed and everything got weird. That should have been of the revolution.
I think there's some truth. I mean, just from a non-psychic standpoint, you know, the head of the Oath Keepers and the head of the Proud Boys was an FBI informant. That info came out. And then all the other stuff that was like really odd, like there was no extra security. They knew they were going to be there. The National Guard didn't get deployed. The mayor of DC didn't deploy a bunch of extra. Like there was all this stuff that seemed very sort of calculated, and they did everything to create with this. I was like, when I saw it that morning, I was like, oh, this is how coups happen. They're going to go in there and seize control. And for whatever reason, Trump didn't show up and go, we're here, we're not leaving, I'm still president. Like that's how most coups happen. And then I was like, oh, this is going to, when I saw that, I was like, he's going to show up. And it would have been like, some people did. I mean, a handful of people, like 4 or 5, which is awful. But I mean, I thought it was just going to be like a bloodletting. Like there's going to be 1,000 people where, you know, they were going to wipe out everyone in Congress. They wanted to kill Mike Pence. I mean, like, I was like, I agree that then there was something that almost they went, nah. And I don't know if there's a famous quote that says a failed coup is just practice for a real coup or a successful one. So I don't know if it was like, this was a dress rehearsal and they're ramping us up because I'm worried like whoever loses in 2024 is going to say it was rigged. Whoever does on any side is going to just say, and then all hell's going to break loose. And if we already have, because if you just look at a historical timeline of an empire collapsing, we're in the middle of it. We're in the early stages of a civil war, just from a historical timeline. And there's always these
astrological, aren't we? Astrologically, we're absolutely lined up for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as 76.
It's yeah, exactly. There was always a failed coup. There was a you know, like what was it? The Boston Massacre, where British troops shot a bunch of protesters. That happened 2 to 3 years before the actual Revolutionary War started, but it was like a battle cry. Like never forget, like it made tensions even higher. So it wasn't like that happened and then boom, the next day we were in a Revolutionary War. It was a seed that was planted. And I mean, like you say, it really feels like the powers that be want us divided and fighting with each other. And you know, at every turn, it's like, oh, Roe v. Wade. You know, there's always some like new fight. There's some new like line.
Yep. You know, I have to jump off for just a second, because here's the other thing. These shootings aren't even being reported on, the mass shootings that are happening now. They're all over the place, and they're going to start to accentuate those, or they're going to get worse, and they're going to want us to see, and they want us afraid to leave the house. I don't know what that's about, but it's also, you know, people, you know, comedy crowds, people are damaged from being in that long. Like, I don't know how anyone in New York did it. I was walking all the time in LA, but I don't know how in those little apartments, they damaged people. And so I have to say I lean toward conspiracies, but I have yet to see few of them that have not been proved true. This shooting up here in Syracuse, there was a guy that got up one day, drove 200 miles and started shooting people in the grocery store in Syracuse. Place he wouldn't. Why is he going that far? The first person he shot was a security guard who had been on the news earlier in Syracuse talking about how he had made an engine that ran on water. On the news, you can find the clip of him talking about how he made the machine that would run a car on water. And then some guy drives 200 miles to shoot him. And it's a mass shooting of a crazy guy that we don't know why he did it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't want to, I mean, we on Government Secrets, we just last week talked about MK Ultra and how they have done, brainwashing and controlling people. It's like, boy, I wouldn't be surprised if they just wound some guy up and said, go get this guy, and
all the time, I bet.
Yeah. Wow.
That's someday you should have me on the conspiracy show. I got them all going on. Woo! That's why I'm Yoda.
Oh, Karen, I know it's getting late there for you. And I know you've been doing readings all day and I appreciate you coming on the show. This was super fun as always and informative. And tell everybody how they can follow, go see this psychic stand-up show and get a reading from Karen, support, because I love what you do. So tell everybody how they can follow you online.
Thank you. I'm a very hard worker. I'm a diligent worker. So you can go to psychicstandup.com, or there's my last name. If you put in my last name, Rontowski, there's no other Rontowskis. I've killed them all. You will find my website. You can book a reading. You can take a tarot class. You can come see a show. At Rontowski is Instagram. At Rontowski is TikTok. Just look for that heavy Polish Russian name.
Oh, Karen, it's so great to see you and hear your voice. And I'm glad you're doing, I know Utica's a challenge for you, but it seems like you're making it work and doing stand-up up there and stuff. So, and I'm glad you're getting gigs on the road, man, because the psychic stand-up is brilliant and it's just a great idea. And it's so it's so perfect. So
well, thank you. And it is so great seeing you and hearing your voice, my friend. It really, it lifts my spirits. We must talk more.
Absolutely. Call me anytime, and hopefully we'll see each other in Chicago in October.
Okay, thank you. Keep the condo
And if you want to come to New York, let me know. Like the 18th, let's talk about that. If you want to come do a set, you can do a set on that show.
Okay, I'll text you because I got to see. I think I have that off. That would be so exciting.
Okay.
Thank you, Graham.
All right, sweetie. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.